All right, so are you ready to dive into a topic that's a little unnerving?
I am indeed. And I think it's something that a lot of people aren't aware of.
It's one of those things you don't think about until it happens to you or someone you know.
Right, exactly.
And then you're like, oh, wow, I should have known about that.
Precisely.
We're talking about phone scams, but not the old school ones, you know, the you've won a free cruise.
Yeah, no. Much more sophisticated than that.
Yeah, we're going deep into the scary stuff today.
Oh, we are.
The stuff that can actually, you know, really mess up your life.
Can really turn your world upside down.
We were lucky enough to get some insights from Amos Nkyonye, who's a real expert in this field, over 20 years of experience in cybersecurity.
Yeah, he's seen it all.
So we're going to be sharing some of his insights with you today to help you avoid becoming a victim.
Absolutely. Forewarned is forearmed, as they say.
So let's imagine this, right? You're going about your day, your phone rings, you see a number, it looks familiar, maybe it's your bank, maybe it's a government agency. You answer, thinking everything's fine.
He's legit, right.
But here's the twist.
What if I told you that the number you see on your caller ID might not be real at all?
Wait, what? You're telling me, like, someone could call me and it would look like it's coming from my mom's number, but it's not actually her.
Exactly. That's exactly what I'm saying. And it's a technique called spoofing.
Spoofing. Oh, okay. So is that like catfishing, but for phone calls?
In a way, yes. They're using software to manipulate the caller ID information that gets sent to your phone.
So how does that even work? Like, technically, how are they doing that?
Well, it's surprisingly easy with the technology available today. There's software that allows them to essentially change the name and number that appears on your screen.
Okay, I'm already getting creeped out here.
Yeah, it is a bit unsettling.
But how does this actually turn into a scam?
Well, think about it. You're more likely to answer a call that appears to be from a trusted source.
Yeah, of course.
So the scammers are banking on that.
They're banking on us, thinking, oh, it's my bank, I better pick up.
Precisely. And once you're on the line, that's when their real tactics come into play.
And what are they trying to get? Like, what's the ultimate goal here?
Information. Anything that can give them access to your money or your identity.
So, like, bank account numbers.
Yes, bank account numbers, passwords.
Credit card details.
Absolutely.
Social security number, that kind of thing.
Anything they can use to exploit you.
Okay, so it's identity theft and financial theft. That's what we're talking about here.
Right, and they can even go after those one-time passwords, those OTPs that are supposed to protect your accounts.
OTPs. Now, I'm not super familiar with those. Could you break that down a bit?
Sure. A one-time password is a temporary code, usually sent to your phone or email, that you use to verify your identity when you're logging into something important, like your bank account.
Oh, okay. So it's like an extra layer of security.
Exactly. It's meant to make it harder for someone to access your account, even if they have your password.
So how do they get a hold of those? I mean, aren't they, you know, one time?
Well, the scammers have come up with some pretty clever ways. One common tactic is using what's called an IVR trap.
IVR trap. Okay, IVR, that's those automated phone menus, right?
You got it. You know, press 1 for this, press 2 for that.
Yeah. We all know those, unfortunately.
So you answer the spoofed call.
Thinking it's legit.
Exactly. And then you're greeted by a very familiar sounding IVR system.
So they're faking the IVR system too. Like, they're programming these things to sound like my bank.
Precisely. They're very good at it too. They use voice recording, sound effects. They make it sound exactly like the real deal.
And that's where the trap comes in.
That's right.
Yeah.
Once they have you on the line, engaged with the system, they start prompting you for information.
Give me an example, like what kind of prompts?
Let's say you get a call that appears to be from your bank. The IVR might say, "This is an urgent message regarding your account. Please enter your account number for verification."
Oh, wow. Okay. I can see how people would fall for that, especially if they're already a little stressed or distracted.
Exactly. They prey on your emotions.
That sense of urgency, like you have to fix it right now.
Exactly. And they might even use scare tactics.
Like what? Like saying your account's been compromised.
Or that there's suspicious activity. Anything to get you to act quickly without thinking it through.
So even if you're normally pretty good about online security, you could still fall for this if you're caught off guard.
Absolutely. They're very good at what they do, unfortunately.
Okay, so let's say someone does fall for this. What happens then? What can these scammers actually do with the information they get?
Well, the consequences can be pretty dire, to be honest.
Yeah, I imagine.
Once they have your account number, your password, maybe even an OTP, they pretty much have free reign.
So they could drain your bank account?
Absolutely. Make unauthorized transfers, empty your savings, even rack up debt in your name.
Wow. So it's not just about losing some money. It's like Your whole financial life could be turned upside down.
Exactly. And it's not just the financial impact, it's the emotional one too.
Yeah, I can't even imagine the feeling of violation. Like someone's been rummaging through your personal life.
It's a huge blow to your sense of security, and it can take a long time to recover.
It's a reminder that cybersecurity isn't just about our devices, it's about protecting our lives, really.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we've talked about how these scams work, the consequences if you fall victim, but now let's get to the good stuff. How do we protect ourselves? What are the red flags? What are the steps we can take to stay safe?
All right, so first and foremost, remember this. Legitimate organizations, they'll never ask for your PI and your OTP over the phone.
Never.
Never.
Okay, so if someone calls claiming to be from my bank, the IRS, whatever, and they ask for that kind of information, that's a huge red flag.
Huge red flag. Slam the phone down, metaphorically speaking, of course.
So no matter how convincing they sound, no matter how urgent they make it seem, never give out your PIN or OTP over the phone.
Exactly.
Got it. Okay, but what if I need to give information over the phone, like when I'm calling customer service?
Right, good question. So if you're the one initiating the call and you know you're calling a legitimate number, you're generally safe.
Okay.
But it's still always a good idea to be cautious, pay attention to the questions they're asking, the information they need.
So if anything feels off, just end the call.
Trust your gut, absolutely.
And what about checking our accounts and credit reports?
That's crucial. Make it a habit to regularly check your bank statements, your credit card statements, your credit report for any suspicious activity.
Because the sooner you catch something, the better.
Absolutely. The faster you can act to limit the damage.
So vigilance is key. We can't just assume it won't happen to us.
Right, because these scammers, they're getting more sophisticated all the time.
And they're always finding new ways to trick people.
Exactly. And it's not just about protecting yourself, it's about protecting your loved ones too.
Oh yeah, good point. Especially like older relatives, they might be more vulnerable to these scams.
Right, so talk to your family, your friends, make sure they're aware of these tactics.
A little conversation can go a long way.
Absolutely. Knowledge is power in this case. The more informed we are, the better equipped we are to fight back.
I gotta say, this has been eye-opening. I mean, I thought I was pretty savvy about this stuff, but you've really given me a lot to think about.
It's one of those things that, we don't always think about until it's too late.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's why we're having this conversation.
So if our listeners could only take away one thing from our deep dive today, what would it be?
Be skeptical.
Be skeptical.
Yeah, question everything. Don't just blindly trust any call you get, especially if they're asking for personal information.
So even if it seems legit, even if they sound official,
verify it independently, hang up, call back, using a number you know is real.
Okay, hang up and verify. Got it.
It's better to be safe than sorry.
Absolutely. Skepticism is our superpower.
That's right.
And remember, folks, if you do encounter a suspicious call, or if you think you might have fallen victim to one of these scams, report it.
Yes, please do report it to the authorities.
It can help them track these criminals down and prevent others from becoming victims.
Exactly. You're not alone in this.
This has been fascinating.
It has.
A little scary, but also really empowering.
I agree.
We've learned how these scams work, the consequences, and most importantly, how to protect ourselves.
Absolutely. Knowledge is power.
But before we wrap up, I have one last question for you.
Okay.
We've talked a lot about phone scams today, but it makes me wonder what other everyday technologies are vulnerable to these kinds of attacks?
That's a great question, and you're right to be thinking about that because as technology advances, so do the threats.
Right.
I mean, think about all the devices we use every day.
Our smart speakers.
Our wearables.
Even our cars are connected now.
All of these things have the potential to be exploited if we're not careful.
So it's not just about phone calls, it's about being vigilant about all of our technology, right?
Exactly. We have to be aware of the risks and take steps to protect ourselves.
So the key takeaway here is that cybersecurity is an ongoing process.
It's not a one-time fix.
We have to stay informed, adapt to new threats, and just be smart about how we use technology.
Absolutely. That's the best way to stay safe in this ever-evolving digital world.
Well said. Well, this has been a fantastic deep dive into the world of phone scams and beyond.
My pleasure.
Thank you so much for sharing your expertise with us.
You're very welcome.
And to our listeners, thank you for joining us.
Stay safe out there.
Remember, knowledge is power, and a little bit of paranoia never hurt anyone.
That's right, Tuckle.
Stay vigilant, stay informed, and stay safe until next time.